Have you ever wondered what it would be like moving from town to town and attending so many schools that you don't even remember all of them? Or having scars on your body from where gangs hit you? This is Nikki Grimes' story, and she lived through all of that. So Grimes was born on October 20th, 1950, in Harlem, a district in New York, to Bernice and James Grimes. So her life started off very rough. Her parents were on again, off again, and always breaking up and getting back together. So she had an older sister, Carol, and when Nikki was 5, they were separated and sent to different homes. So Nikki actually really liked the home she was sent to. She had a really good mom and 2 brothers, and she basically found a safe haven living there. When she was 10, her mother then uh, invited her back home to live with them, and she went and she stayed there. And her sister Carol moved back in, but then she ended up moving out after not too long. So she attended so many different schools and lived on some of the toughest streets out there in the world. Um, she tried to talk herself out of a lot of fights, and she was able to, but there was not when she wasn't able to talk herself out of those fights, she had to defend herself and fight with these gangs just because they would go after her. So Grimes graduated from junior high at the same time she received her first writing award. She gave her first poetry reading at the Country Colon Library at age 13. She enjoyed writing, running, swimming, and playing basketball when she was younger. After graduating junior high, she attended William Howard Taft High School in the Bronx. And during the time of the JFK and Martin Luther King Jr. assassination, her biggest supporter, her father, passed away. So she looked to Mrs. Wexler, a high school English teacher and survivor of the Holocaust, for guidance. And basically, Mrs. Wexler taught her to focus on what she can change and to not worry about those things that she can't control, because she was wasting time and she had a talent. So Mrs. Wexler saw that. The other most important person in her life was James Baldwin, and he mentored her for a year and a half and helped her realize her morals and how she wanted to present herself as a writer. After graduating high school, Grimes took a couple years off of school but continued to grow her knowledge. After 2 years, she began attending Livingston College in New Jersey, majoring in English literature and with a minor in African languages. And then she actually traveled to Tanzania on a grant that she received from the Ford Foundation to continue her language studies. And in the 1970s, she co-produced and hosted the kids show on WBAI FM in New York, and hosted a radio program for immigrants and an educational radio station in Sweden. So she's had a lot of accomplishments other than just writing stories and poems. So all of these events have led up to every story that Nikki has written, and she tells that her characters have not even gone through half of the things that she has. So she has a long history, and I'm sure it will lead to a lot of very good books. A lot of them are about foster homes, or her childhood church, or her travels, or special friendships. So a couple of awards she's won is the Coretta Scott King Award in 2003 and the National Council of Teachers of English Award for Excellence in Poetry for Children in 2006. She has a very broad horizon, so she's also written articles for magazines. This was the first time during this class that I had heard of Nikki Grimes. I did a reflection over her book, Shoe Magic, at the very beginning of this course, and that was the first time I had heard of her, and ever since then I've really liked her and really liked her work. So she has a lot of other stories that are very good. Shoe Magic was the first one I read, of course, and then One Last Word, Planet Middle School, and Poems in the Attic, and then the story that I'm going to share with you today, Garvey's Choice, are all very good books, and they're all based basically off of something different. A couple of them are based off of a child who is insecure, and then just like growing up, and the Poems in the Attic is based off a little girl who finds her mom's poems in her grandma's attic. So, yeah, so I'll read a little bit of this. I'm just going to start from the very beginning so that if you like it, then you can keep on reading. Okay, so it figures. When I was 7 and crazy for Mr. Spock, a Star Trek lunchbox was all I craved. Instead, Dad bought one blaring the logo of some football team I'd never even heard of. I shoved that thing in the coal black of my closet, then celebrated with cake. Origami. Mom's got a talent for origami, but she can't fold me into the jock Dad wants me to be. At least she knows not to try. Angie. Angie's the athlete. Why should I compete with her? Why can't Garvey be like his sister? I heard Dad ask when I was 8. Mom said, "That's the wrong question. Ask Garvey what interests him. Talk to him, honey." Yeah, Dad, I thought. Talk to me. But will he? I wish I knew. Summer Lost and Found. Stories are breadcrumbs. Just follow the trail of books, and you will find me, lost among the galaxies, of scorched stars and ships to Mars. Stars. Stars on my ceiling wink at me when the full moon comes for a visit. I might return the favor someday, at least in my dreams. For now, I strap on Chapter 4 of Mars Rescue, study the console, then ease back on the throttle for a smooth flight through starfields. Sci-fi novel. On page 59, I meet 2 red Martian trills and feel a sweet chill ripple through me, till Dad says, "Football would do you better." Where did he come from? The sudden slap of words sends my trails scattering. I snarl and pound my pillow. It's too late to slam the door. Mom speaks. Later, Mom asks him, "Why don't you let Garvey be?" I heard Dad snort twice. Why can't he put those books down and play football or basketball? Garvey likes to read. When was that not a good thing? Thanks, Mom, I whisper. You're right, says Dad, but reading doesn't build muscles, does it? When I was his age, my pop and I always played. We roughhoused like, well, normal. I go downstairs, grab a Coke, wash down Dad's disappointment. Antidote. Dinner table talk is magically washed away on a sea of song. The minute I clamp on my trusty earphones and push play. Rhymes with Harvey. Some people wonder, why Garvey? Why not Marcus? So I ask my dad. Lots of boys named Marcus, son. Garvey, that's one of a kind. Unique. How good is different? I search stories for someone who resembles me. If it weren't for books and Joe, different would be lonely. Portrait. In Angela's eyes, I'm little baby brother. I tell her, you're not as much older as you think. She spatters me with laughter. So, that was the first 10 pages, or first 11 pages, I guess. But it's a very good book, and it has a lot of fun poems. Actually, this book is written in a special kind of poetry form. It's called Tinka. It's ancient poetry form originally from Japan, so that's a lot of fun. You can learn a little bit about that too. It has 5 lines, so here's like the form of it. This book doesn't have any pictures, so then a fun interactive thing you could do with this would be window painting, or you could have your kids all bring in a recipe and make a cookbook for the class. You could also teach your class how to play chess. So, thank you.